There's actually a really big misunderstanding between a lot of professing Christians, and a lot of people, they go to church and they do a lot of things that are religious. They follow the Bible as best as they can. But one thing they always do is they use the Bible as a window instead of a mirror. When you're looking out a window and you're looking at other people, you're able to judge other people, but you can't see yourself. When you're looking in a mirror, you can see yourself, but we're also called to judge other people. If you read the Bible closely and you keep it all in context, you understand that this is our whole mission as Christians, is to point other people to their sin so they see their need for Jesus. They see their need for the gospel. They understand the depravity and their sinful nature. So we have to judge in order to do this. We have to show people where their sin is. We have to show people how wicked our hearts really are. And it's hard for people to hear because we've grown up in this society that's so prideful, so self-building. It's all about self-love. So people feel like it's some kind of attack that you tell somebody that they're a sinner, instead of accepting it as love. And when you're helping somebody else, you're helping somebody realize a problem that should be considered as love. Some people don't do it out of love, but for the kingdom's sake, we are to not worry about that. We're to worry about God's business being done. When Peter was trying to stop Jesus from being crucified, Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan." He told Peter, "Stop what you're doing. Quit trying to stop what's happening, even though it may seem wrong to you." And a lot of times, what might seem wrong to a person is actually for a greater good. It always is, because this is what God has promised us. In Romans 8:28, we're told that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So knowing that we're called according to his purpose, everybody as a Christian shouldn't have any problem with somebody preaching the gospel and pointing out sins in people. But we have to use the Bible as a mirror. We have to be able to look at ourselves and see our own flaws, even as Christians, even as we're saved. Because there's a lot of people that are deceived. So when you're using a mirror, you can see yourself, but you still can judge other people. But what you'd have to do is make it more like a selfie image. You would turn the mirror and you could look at yourself and somebody behind you. And this is what the Bible tells us also right here in Matthew 7:3-5. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So the whole point of this verse is to tell people, look, take care of your problems first and then help your brother. So while people think that this verse is trying to stop people from judging, it's actually doing the opposite. It's actually trying to tell you how to judge. It's telling you how to judge your neighbor. It's telling you how to point out sin in other people. And that is making sure you've taken care of the sin first, and then you can get to somebody else. And this is why the mirror analogy is perfect, because when you look in the mirror and you might turn it to where you can see somebody else too, you're going to see yourself first. So if there's something in your eye, you're going to see that first. And then if you see your eyes are clear, you can now look back and see behind you and see the people. So we should always look at ourselves first. Before we speak about anything to anybody, we should always say, do I do this myself? Before I start speaking about somebody's pride, how much pride do I have? Have I grown in my humility, or am I still a very prideful person before you start judging somebody else? Because it's going to be of no effect. When somebody sees that you're disciplined in one area, they're going to take your advice because they can see that God is working in your life. And a lot of times what we have a problem with is we try to judge people for things that just make us angry, and we don't even take the time to think about how we do these exact same things. So it's important that we use the Bible as a mirror to first look at ourselves and then judge our neighbors. And this is something that's very rare in Christians. Most people, they even go to church and they They don't expect to learn anything new, or they don't expect to bow down to anything new, or get any new understanding. They just they are who they are, and they go to church just to build themselves up more, just to blow up their head. As the Bible says, knowledge puffs up. So some people just go to get more and more knowledge instead of getting the wisdom and the understanding, having this wisdom, this practical way of living, and this understanding, understanding the full purpose and the will of God, and understanding how His will is not just for us working on other people, but also continuing to sanctify ourselves. So if we're not working to sanctify ourselves, then we're going to fall short in our ministries, and I'm guilty of this too, So this is also a reminder to me, but to everybody that is claiming the name of Christ, remember that the Bible is a mirror. It's not a window. It's not for us to just look through and peek at everybody else and, oh, y'all are sinners. We still sin. Paul said it himself that he still struggled with sin, and I know he was more sanctified than any of us are. Right here in James 1:22 through 25, we read, "But prove yourselves doers of the word, and not merely hearers who delude themselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgot what kind of person he was. But one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides in it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer, this man will be blessed in what he does." We have to look at the perfect law of God and understand how short we really are from coming up to the standards. We're not even close. And it's like we can look in the Bible and see all of our flaws and then completely forget it and step out and be so self-righteous and judgmental. So we all called to judge, but we need to take care of whatever we're trying to speak on. We shouldn't be speaking on something that we're still struggling with. So this is something that we all have to work on, and I think it's a real important message for everybody claiming the name of Christ. And remember, the Bible is a mirror, not a window. Something to think about.